It's finally here. So I've been waiting for these skates for quite some time. I was looking at Facebook groups for 1 or 2 years until one came up that is approximately my size. So these are the USD Legacy Russia Johnson skates. These were the only ones that I found, and to be honest, recently there were two that came up on Facebook, and I only bought this one just to try them out, and finally have them in my hands because I always wanted to own one of these at least for a short while, just to disassemble them, to learn about them, because these are very interesting skates. Quite possibly, maybe the worst skates ever, alongside with a couple few other skates that are quite horrible. But I kind of like horrible skates because if it's quirky, if it has fun features or something, or a lot of things unique about them, then I'm a total buyer. So let's go through all the unique features or unique design elements that this skate has that is visible on the outside, because later I'm going to disassemble this whole thing. The most obvious unique feature is the cuff. You can see that it's attached to this aluminum piece. I'm not sure how far this goes, but I'm going to take it apart and we will see. The other quite unique thing is the sole plate. I'm going to speak about this later, but you could check, you could see, you could adjust it, you could pull it outward if it starts wearing off, or you could just start basically fully pulled outward. So you could start with the widest sole plates. The other very interesting feature is the backslide plate. I'm not sure why is this biased forward, but it's really interesting that it has these empty areas here, as if maybe they wanted to make it wider and fill this space entirely, then they changed it later. But recently I started experimenting with custom sole plates that has custom grooves, and pretty much these little gaps here could be used as alternative backslide grooves. So depending on your trick and your feet and your style, whatever feels the most comfortable, you could use this kind of angle for a royal or backslide or torque trick, or this one. Mostly if you wear this in, you could turn these into backslide grooves, so 3 grooves on each side, even on the inner side. I'm not sure if the original came with the Keyser suspension frames. I made a separate video about suspension frames previously, so I'm not going to get into the details of this frame. I'll be mostly focusing on the boot. I want to go through the visual cues, mostly the static elements that they used with this skate. There's a lot of branding and logos. There's the classic USD logo pretty much everywhere on the skate. It's a universal skate. One more here. It seems to have, there's this plastic protector. I'm not sure if that's a logo. Classic USD. Here on the liner too. I really like the trinkets. It's really, really unnecessary, but it was probably a cool thing at the time to have these aluminium trinket on your laces. It's really, really unnecessary weight to add to this already heavy skate. It also says handmade, and it's trademarked. How did they trademark that? Because let's be honest, everything is handmade, even if it's assembled in a Chinese factory. People put these together by hand. They assemble them by hand. And often by handmade nowadays, we mean that it's made and built in a small shop by a few people or by the designer himself or herself. Alright, so I brought over the tools and I think I'm ready to disassemble this, and let's do a time lapse. Alright, so it took like it took me about 6 minutes to separate the exo shell. It's pretty cool. Wow, dude. Look at this thing. This is from the future. Wow, look at that. Alright, so let's get into this in detail. So this is the inner boot. It's quite soft on the top. There's some plastic. I'm going to try to find it for you, just to give you an idea. Wow, dude, this is so cool. So it pretty much has a plastic shell. I think it's plastic. Pretty much has a plastic shell around about this shape. I'm going to show you the liner. And this was from the period when companies did some really weird liners. This is nothing. This is like wearing thick socks. And people were skating in these. People were skating hard in these. Jumping up from 1 or 2 story buildings and such. This is the coolest part. Wow. I didn't know that this exo shell is so solid and so many pieces are put together. I really like the floating cuff. I mean, at least the looks, wow. Now, so I noticed that the backslide plate was off because it's adjustable. It has these ridges, and you could just place it. It's not even screwed on, it's just sandwiched between the exo shell and the frame. Really cool. So you could use it. You could have a backward. It's like this backward angle groove, and you could have it in the middle or in the front, or be an orthodox like me and have it in the middle. Just make these into grooves as well, if you want to be an odd one like me who likes free grooves. I didn't talk about the shock absorber, even this one. I'm not sure if this was common at the time. There's this very, very light shock absorber with this square pattern. I'm not sure how much this does, but it was really different age in rollerblading, and the industry was very different. Some other thoughts about this skate. Probably the most problematic thing about it is the weight. I think this is probably one of the heaviest skates out there, besides somewhere in the top heaviest, besides Rams and you know, the old Rollerblade TRS sub boot, the skinned rollerblades. So this is probably one of the heaviest, mostly because it's quite complex. It has a lot of parts. This exo shell, this is pretty much just, I think it's like as heavy as like a modern skate, lighter modern skate. But I don't think weight was a concern during that time. It was the time when the Dashi came out. I'm going to show you the Randy Spicer Dashi because it is some kind of, it is the same era. So weight and stiffness, sideways flex, not a concern, was not a concern during that time, early to mid. This was like 2003 to 5 time period. For example, I never seen the legacies in the wild. I've only heard a few people, a few of my crewmates saw these in a different city. It was just some rich kids doing step-on Mizus in these. These were very expensive at the time. I remember I could have not afforded this skate in around that time. They are the Dashis. So we're really similar era. Oh, I just love these. It's very bulky, very heavy. Support doesn't exist. It's just paper. It has these socks, this thin material as a liner. There's like no foam. Because today this material is like a cover of a liner. It's like a cover of an Intuition liner. And back then, just look it up and see people landing huge hammers with these. Just one more look. Oh wow, dude, look at this. I just wanted to show you that the sole plates are adjustable, not only by sliding them out, but they have these ridges as well. This is really clever. I really like this. Wow. Oops. Some tea not left the chat. So you could adjust your sliders just by putting them, changing the ridge. And then driving the screws in. I'm going to set it to widest. Just curious how wide I could make this. So this is the maximum amount that I can push out the slider. It's about about 4 or 5 millimeters. It's a pretty good feature. And I know what some of you creative-minded people think, that you could put some kind of eclipse liner into this exo shell, or you could put you could try putting a sole plate. Is it flat? It's not entirely flat. The heel is slightly raised. Just by, I don't know. It's not completely flat. It seems like there's an arch here, a bit of lifted arch. And technically you could put a cuff on it. It would be quite low. I'm just looking for the edge of the shell. Just around here. This would make a pretty light skate. And this would make a very quite heavy, quite cool and quirky looking, even more quirkier than this looks factory. I'm going to get some parts really quick. Alright, so I just grabbed some Intuition liners. I don't think the Eclipse liners would fit in. Dude, this could work. Holy shit. Holy shit. Dude, this fits so well. Okay, I'm gonna set this up and I'm gonna try it on and let you know how it feels. Wow. Alright, so this is hilarious. Alright, let's move on to... Could you make this into a very light boot? Dude, this would fit. This would fit. Alright, I'm going to set this up separately. I don't think I'm going to try these on because they would need a cuff, and I don't feel like anything that's this flimsy. It would ruin my knees and my ankles. I'm going to set these up. Unbelievable. Look at this. I just fitted an Eclipse liner into Legacy. Holy shit. Fucking unreal. Alright, so that fits. And I noticed that the cuff height is adjustable. I'm going to adjust it to higher, even though this is quite stiff. I would rather go a bit higher. And check the inner boot. Pretty much we got a USD carbon free skate. It's pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting that this is going to be this much fun. You see, there's a hole, so you could bring the cuff just a bit higher. Also, there's 2 screws in the back, so I need to undo those as well. There you go. It works and it fits. Unbelievable. It's not even bad. I would need some shock absorbers because I'm leaning back, but it fits. This is an eclipse liner with the exo shell of the USD Legacy. Fucking unbelievable. Alright, so just a very short side tangent here. This is so useful. I just bought this recently because there's just these small amount of dust or any kind of flakes that come out of stuff that I work on. I'm even from just disassembling something or when I have to drill just a few holes. This is so useful when I don't want to turn on the big vacuum cleaner. This is just a domestic one which has a battery. End of side tangent. So here it is. I just invented Shadow 3.0 on video, but I'm only kidding. It's just a fun coincidence that this boot doesn't fit me. The liner says it's a 45. I normally fit into 45s, although I prefer size 46 shells because I'm guessing that this is the original liner of this skate. Doesn't really say the Mondo size. 45 in power slide is normally around 288, 285, 289. This boot doesn't fit me, not even with this very thin liner. My toes, I can't remove my toes. I'm just all clenched up in there, so I couldn't really use this boot. I just made it to show you how much fun it is that with this skate we could just make 2 Franken skates from one ordinary skate. It's really funny that these worked out. I wasn't even expecting this to work out. They're very heavy. I'm going to measure them, put them on a scale. They fit quite well. I don't feel any pain. Sideways flex. It's quite supportive. It's a hybrid cuff with the aluminum and the plastic. This floating cuff. I think I'm going to call it a video. I hope you had as much fun as I did. This was the USD Legacy Russia Johnson disassembly and review. I'm going to take this for a spin. It's a really fun Franken setup.